Hi guys, today we are going to look at the four Greeks of options, which are delta, gamma, vega, and theta. So what are these terms and what do they mean? The four Greeks help you understand how option prices are affected by stock price movement, changes in volatility, and time decay. You probably won't use all of the Greeks when you buy and sell option, but I think it's still pretty important to cover this topic. So at least you know what are the Greeks when you hear people talking about them. Okay, before we dive in, I just want to say that I personally don't look at the Greeks that often. I don't even use all of them. But I think what is important is to just understand what each Greek is tracking. You don't have to be too worried about the calculations, just understand the general idea of each Greek. Okay, so the first Greek, delta. This is probably the most famous Greek out of the four. Delta refers to the change in option price based on a $1 increase in the stock price. Basically, delta tells you how much the price of your option will change if the stock moves up or moves down by a dollar. Okay, so an example on delta. Let's say you're looking at the stock for Disney and the current price of Disney is $140. You bought a $150 call for Disney and you paid $2.30 for this call option. If the delta is 0.6, what this means is when the stock price for Disney increases by a dollar to 141, your call option will increase by 60 cents to $2.90. That's how you interpret delta. Delta also takes on a value between -1 to 1, and you can view delta as a probability. So when delta is near 0, this means your option has a very low chance of closing in the money. And when delta is near +1 or -1, this means your option has a very good chance of closing in the money. Just to recap, a call option is in the money when the strike price of your call option closes below the stock price. For puts, it's just the opposite. So delta appears negative because of puts. Looking at the same example for Disney, but in this case, we have a $130 put. When Disney stock price increases by a dollar, the price of your put option will drop by 60 cents because your put option is getting further and further out of the money when the stock price increases. But if Disney were to fall to $139 instead, your put option will increase by 60 cents. So for delta, the difference between calls and puts is just a negative sign, but the underlying meaning is the same. Delta always refers to a $1 increase in the stock price. From the previous example on Disney, we saw that delta was 0.6 for the call option. But do you think that the delta for the option will always be 0.6? Remember I mentioned that if your option has a low chance of closing in the money, delta will be near 0. But if your option has a high chance of closing in the money, delta will be near 1. So delta will change depending on the likelihood of your option being in the money at expiration. Now the change of delta is called gamma. Gamma is a change in delta for every $1 increase in the stock price. Let's take a look at an example at how this works. Using Disney as an example again, you purchase a 150 call for Disney when the stock price for Disney is $140. You bought the call at $2.30 and delta is 0.4, while gamma is 0.03. When the stock price for Disney increases by a dollar to $141, your option price is now $2.70 because delta was 0.4. And the new delta is now 0.43. The increase of 0.03 comes from gamma. So if Disney were to increase by another dollar, the option price becomes $3.13. And the new delta will be 0.46 at $142. So this is what gamma represents. Gamma refers to how much delta will change for every $1 increase in the stock price. Gamma only takes on a positive value. It's not like delta, where delta is positive for calls and negative for puts. Gamma is also highest when the option is close to at the money, and gamma is the lowest when the option is deeply in the money or out of the money. So the next Greek we are looking at is Vega. Now since Vega starts with a V, this is a Greek that is linked to volatility. That's how I remember it. Vega shows you the estimated change in option prices for 1% increase in implied volatility. Now, if you recall a few lessons back, I mentioned that the price of an option is made up of intrinsic and extrinsic value. For extrinsic value, it consists of time value and implied volatility. When IV is high, larger moves are possible, so you have to pay more for an option. And since these moves can happen in either direction, upwards or downwards, option prices for both calls and puts will increase when implied volatility increases. Let's take a look at an example to understand Vega. Let's say we are looking at the stock of Microsoft, and Microsoft is currently at $230. And you purchase a 250 call for Microsoft at $4.30 when implied volatility was 30%. Vega is 0.1, so if implied volatility rises to 31%, your call option will be worth $4.40. This is assuming that the time left to expiration for the option did not change. Overall, you can see that the calculation for Vega is quite straightforward. The value for Vega is also highest for at the money option and options with a high number of days to expiration. Implied volatility is a pretty important topic for options, and I will talk more about IV in future lessons because there's quite a lot to cover for IV. Now, I mentioned that there were two parts to extrinsic value, time value and implied volatility. We've covered Vega, which is the Greek for implied volatility. Before we move on to the Greek related to time value, let's think about what exactly is time value. We know that at the same strike price, an option with a further expiration date will cost more than an option with a closer expiration date. So the number of days remaining until expiration of an option is valuable, and this is your time value. The moment you buy an option, all options, regardless of calls or puts, in the money, out of the money, or at the money options, all options will only get closer and closer to expiration because time only moves forward. Because of this, the time value for all options will drop with every passing day, and this is known as time decay, or theta, which is a Greek that represents time decay. It starts with a T, so that also makes it easy to remember. Now, theta is, in my opinion, probably the second most important Greek after delta because it represents the daily decay of your option. The definition for theta can be thought of as the change in option price for 1 day change in the remaining days to expiration of the option. Let's look at an example on theta. We are looking at Walmart this time, and let's assume that the current price of Walmart is $130 and you purchase 150 call on Walmart with 45 days to expiration. If Walmart stays at the same price, $130, and its implied volatility does not change, a 1 day decrease in the days to expiration of the option will cause your call option to decrease by theta, which is 0.04. So theta represents the time decay of your option, assuming that price and IV remains at the same level. Here are a few more points to know about theta. Theta does not move at a fixed rate. So if you look at the table on the right, theta starts out slow, then theta picks up as the days to expiration falls. Theta is the highest when the option is closest to expiration. So time decay increases as an option moves closer and closer to expiration. You may also have heard of the saying, theta is your friend if you are an option seller, and theta is your enemy if you are an option buyer. When you buy an option, time decay is working against you because your option is losing value every day. But if you sell an option, time decay helps you because it gives you a chance to buy your option back at a cheaper price in the future. I'll touch more about option buying and selling in future videos because there's quite a lot to cover, and this was a pretty tricky concept when I first learned about it. Okay, so just to do a quick summary on what we've covered, we've went through the 4 Greeks and what they represent. Delta tracks the change in option prices for a $1 increase in the stock price. If your option has a high chance of closing in the money, delta is near 1. And if your option has a high chance of closing out of the money, delta will be near 0. For gamma, it tracks the speed at which delta changes. Gamma is highest for at the money option because these options are very sensitive to price changes. Vega starts with a V, so it tracks the change in implied volatility, specifically for a 1% change in implied volatility. At the money options are the most sensitive to Vega because a small change in volatility can determine if at the money options will end up being in the money or out of the money. Lastly, Theta tracks the change in option prices based on the remaining days to expiration for the option. All options will experience time decay as they near expiration, and time decay is not constant. Theta will be larger as the option nears its expiration date. Okay, there's actually a bit more stuff that I want to cover, but I feel that this video is getting a bit long, so I'm going to leave it to the next video. In the next video, I will show you the 4 Greeks on the Thinkorswim trading software, and if there's time, I will cover a bit more on implied volatility as well. I'll look at the content and decide. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to reply. If you found the video useful, it would be awesome if you could like the video and share it. If you have the means and you would like to support the channel, I have a link to my PayPal below. Any donations would be very much appreciated. Thank you.